What is up, everybody? Let's talk rookies. Let's talk running backs. We put out the video for the wide receivers, my top 5 rookie wide receivers coming out of the 2023 class. Today, in this video, let's talk about the 2023 running backs coming out of this class. I'm going to give you my top 5 running backs coming out of the class, what I think about them, some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses, and where you can kind of get them in your rookie drafts. But before we get into the video, guys, just do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football and you do like what we got going on here. But let's get right into it. My RB5 coming out of the class is Tank Bigsby, 6', 204. Coming out of Auburn, 21 years old, BMI 27.7, so that's actually really good, ninth. But Bigsby, very good runner. Broke out in 2020, 138 rushing attempts for 834 yards, 5 touchdowns, 11 catches to go with that. In 2021, played in 13 games, 223 attempts for 1,099 yards, 10 touchdowns, 21 catches. And then 2022 didn't do as well, but 179 for 970, 10 touchdowns, had 30 catches for 180 yards. So he got more involved in the passing game. But I mean, look, Tank Bigsby, he has great size, exactly kind of what the NFL is looking for. You know, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. We've been waiting on Tank Bigsby for years. I mean, we've been talking about him since Bijan as the two guys coming out of this class. He was a long jumper and a sprinter, so he's got good speed. I mean, he's a physical kind of bruising running back, but he's also quick. You know, he's a hard guy to bring down. He's always moving forward. So he's always keeping his feet moving. He's always moving forward, getting that extra yardage. He has great vision, great balance, and he really explodes out of his cuts when you watch the film. And you can watch the film, right down here. This is right off of Player Profiler. So definitely check that out. But yeah, you can see when he's cutting, he's getting guys off balance. He's breaking through tackles. He can catch. He's not a great pass catcher. He's not one of those route running backs, but you can definitely dump it off to him and he can kind of do his thing. 10 touchdowns each the last 2 years, great touchdown production. But, this offense was absolutely horrible. They had one of the worst O lines in college football, and he still averaged 5.5 yards per carry, which was great. His yards after contact was elite at 4.1 yards. So, the guy, he checks a lot of boxes. He's a guy I'm really looking forward to going into the draft to see where he ends up. But can he handle the workhorse load? With his skill set and what he's shown, it looks like he can handle the workhorse load. But will he get that? Some of the negatives would be he should be making more big plays. He should be a little more consistent than what he has been. Sometimes he's a little too patient and won't make up his mind and burst through the hole. And he's not extremely crazy fast. He's fast, but he doesn't have like that crazy home run like Sean Tucker speed. But again, he is a guy that we've been talking about for the last couple years with Bijan Robinson, coming out of this class. So where's he going to get drafted in the NFL draft? Right now, looks like second, third round possibly. So we'll see what happens there. In his rookie drafts, you can probably get him in the early second round, mid second round, maybe late second round. All depends on where he gets drafted, where his draft capital is. So, but Tank Bigsby, my RB number 5 coming out of this class. My number 4 RB in the class is going to be Zach Charbonnet, 6'1", 220, UCLA, BMI 29. So that's really good. College denominator 30. But let's look at some of his productions before we, get into him. So we come down. He breaks out in 2019, his first year at 18 years old, 726 rushing yards with 11 touchdowns. 2020, we had that COVID season, so he comes back in 2021, runs for 1,137 yards on 13 touchdowns. Follows that up in 2022 with 1,359 yards and 14 touchdowns. So just really putting in work, really productive, running back in college. Came in through Michigan, transferred to UCLA. He was a 4-year running back, so he's a 4-year running back entering the NFL draft, which we don't love, but he really should have came out last year. He was talked about with Breece Hall and Kenny Walker, so he could have been a top 3 back coming out last year. He doesn't have crazy speed, but he's not that type of guy. He's more of a physical power back, a big bruiser, big boy size, physical between the tackles, and just doesn't want to go down, keeps his legs moving. But he is a patient guy. He does make guys miss. He breaks a ton of arm tackles because of the strength that he has. He has pretty good acceleration, but he's not, extremely fast at all. Good vision, good balance. Could possibly be a true workhorse in the NFL. He can catch the football. He's not great at it or amazing, but he is serviceable and he can get it done. But will he be in the NFL that first and second down back, or will he get that workhorse kind of role? He does struggle in pass protection a little bit, so that could very well hurt him a little bit. But depending where he goes, I mean, he's got a shot to have a chance to be something if he can find himself in the right spot in the perfect situation. Right now, looking at him as in the second round, third round pick in the NFL draft. In your rookie drafts, you can probably get him late first round to mid second round, depending super flex or not, and depending, of course, when he gets drafted. RB3 of the class is going to be Sean Tucker, 5'10", 210, 21 years old, out of Syracuse, BMI 30, college denominator 32, so excellent there. We go down to some of his stats here. In 2020, 137 rushing attempts, 626 yards, 4 touchdowns. Coming out to 2021, he's got 1,496 yards, almost 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, had 20 catches to go with that for another 250 yards. Comes back in 2022 and has 1,060 yards, and then another 250 rushing yards with 13 touchdowns and 14 touchdowns a year before. I mean, the guy crazy uber productive, and they were trying to get Sean Tucker the ball any way that they possibly can. He was a track athlete, champion sprinter, crazy acceleration and top end speed. And you watch the tape, you can see kind of how he just burst through holes. Set the single season rushing record in 2021 with 1,496 rushing yards for Syracuse. And like I said, the team got him the ball any way that they possibly could. Very productive the last 2 years, as you can see. He makes big plays. He can catch the football. He's not a great pass catcher or a great route runner, but he's serviceable. He's fine. He can catch the ball. He just does a little bit of everything. He does work better in space, but I can run between the tackles. You can see that kind of that burst, but the one knock on him is going to be, is it just his speed? He's not a very powerful guy. So does he get the workhorse role, or does he find himself in that kind of, some kind of Tony Pollard role? He's not a great pass blocker, and he doesn't have that power and strength that a team might want in a full 3-down workhorse role. So depending where he goes and his situation, I think it can be very serviceable, but is he going to get that workhorse role? Let's see where he gets drafted. Right now, a guy that's going in the, second and third rounds in your rookie draft could be that third RB off of the board. So you can get him late first, early seconds. Again, depending where he gets drafted, that's going to determine where he's going to be going in our rookie draft. So we still have a long ways to go, but as of right now, that's what we're looking at. RB2 of the draft class is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, 5'11", 200, 27.9 BMI, 25% college denominator. Alabama. I mean, what is there much to say? Everybody pretty much knows about Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's look out here at his college output. 2020, 89 for 467 touchdowns, 24 catches for 300 yards. 2021 comes out with 746 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 465 receiving yards. And then in 2022, 926 rushing yards with 444 receiving yards. So 2 years at Georgia, then went to Alabama. He is one of those hybrid pass catching running backs, the Eckler Kamara types. Crazy elusive, crazy great vision, shoots through holes. He can run legit like wide receiver routes where he gets actual separation, like real separation. So, he also led all running backs and forced missed tackles on reception. So just get him the ball, let him do his thing. He's very underrated as a rusher, actually. He can do everything in between the tackles and outside. They literally built the offense around Jahmyr Gibbs at Alabama. They built the offense around him and they rode him. He's going to be the second running back coming off the board after, of course, the number one Bijan. We'll talk about him in a second. But negatives on him is going to be, the size. Does he have the size to be that 3-down workhorse role? Is somebody going to give him that chance? We need to see what he comes in at, what his measurables are. Really, that's the only negative pretty much, and of course his pass protection, like most of these guys coming out of college, their pass protection isn't the greatest. It's something that they're going to have to work on and learn, going into the pros. But listen, Gibbs could possibly be a first round pick if not an early second round pick in the NFL draft. That puts him in, depending if you're playing 1 QB or super flex range, that puts him anywhere between like the 102 and the 105. And there's been talks of the Bills, the Eagles, looking at Jahmyr Gibbs. So depending where he goes, I mean, this guy can be a smash in the NFL, if he can find himself in that right situation. The number one running back in the class, of course, no question, is going to be Bijan Robinson, 6'2", 29.8 BMI, 36.8 college denominator, just simply dominating, 21 years old. Coming out of Texas, I mean, this guy, just a generational running back. I mean, in 2020, 703 yards for 6 touchdowns. 2021 comes out with 1,127 yards, another 300 receiving, and then in 2022, 1,580 yards for 20 total touchdowns and another 300 yards receiving. I mean, what is there much to say? We all know about Bijan Robinson at this point. I mean, five-star recruit, talking about him since he came out of high school, just one of those generational running backs. We haven't seen a guy come out since, Saquon, Zeke, Adrian Peterson, of this kind of stature, just size, the speed, the athleticism. I mean, the vision is crazy, the ability to just cut back on a dime and find lanes and holes to get through, keeping defenders off balanced, running between the tackles, inside, outside. He can run legit wide receiver routes out of the backfield. I mean, the guy can do absolutely everything. I mean, he runs people over. He's got power. I mean, what more do you want in a running back? He's going to be the 101 easily. There's not even a discussion here. He should be the 101 coming off the board. And is going to be possibly the number one dynasty running back. Once we get to actually start up drafts, he's probably the first running back that's coming off the boards. Regardless of where he goes, I think he's a 3-down running back. There's no doubt about that. What are some of the little negative things is like he's got great speed, but he doesn't have like that elite home run speed. Sometimes he dances a little bit too much at the line instead of hitting and going right through the hole. I think he can definitely, especially at the next level, lower his shoulder a little bit more, use a little bit more of that power and run more uphill. And then, of course, just like the rest of the guys in his class, the pass blocking, of course, we've got to improve that. But he's pretty much a guaranteed first round pick in the NFL draft. I mean, the NFL doesn't value running backs as they used to. It's not like the Saquon days, or else Bijan, of course, would be a top 10 locked in pick. But he should definitely go in the first round, at least probably the top, you know, 15, 20. So we'll see what happens and who winds up taking him. But I mean, I've seen him go anywhere from the Bills, the Lions, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Chargers. Like I've seen a bunch of different spots where he ends up. So it's interesting to see where he's going to end up. But easily, the 101 guy coming out of the draft. And if you are in a position where, your team is just that bad and Bijan is just not going to do anything for you, what you can trade him for, the value of what Bijan Robinson is absolutely insane. So you'd have to explore those options as well. But that'll wrap it up for the top 5 running backs of the 2023 class for me. Thank you guys for tuning in, of course. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about any of these guys, whether you agree, whether you disagree. What picks do you have? Who are you drafting? Who are you going after? So let me know down there in the comments. But yeah, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do like Dynasty Fantasy Football and you do like what you saw here. We've got the tight ends coming out and the QBs coming out next, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, we out. See y'all in the next video.